Alright guys, so welcome to day 8 of our 30 days of Photoshop retouching challenge. In today's video, we're going to learn how to smoothen skin, how to create your own frequency separation adjustment layers, how to color grade, and how to clean your background, and possibly we're going to add some manipulations to our image as well. So if you are a beginner or an intermediate and you're struggling with any of this that I said above in Photoshop, then this video is the right one for you. My name is Akodedi and welcome back to another Photoshop tutorial. If you love content like this, don't forget to like this video and then hit the subscribe button for more content like this for you. Now, without further ado, let's jump straight into Photoshop and start editing. So I have my image over here. First and foremost, I'm going to create a duplicate layer of the background. So Control and then J to make this duplicate. I'm going to zoom into our image. Yeah. So what I'm going to attempt to do right now is to remove all this highlights and then I think pimples and this unwanted textures on her face. So that's what I'm going to do right now. So I'm going to use the spot healing brush tool to do this. I'm going to select it at the tools panel over here. I'm going to zoom in a little bit. So I'm going to decrease the brush size to the size where it can cover where I want to clean. So I'm just going to brush over the parts that I don't like to remove all this unwanted stuff on the face. Yeah, that's basically how we're going to do this. So I'm going to just come here, brush to remove. So you're just going to proceed and then just brush to remove anything you don't want. That is how the spot healing brush tool works. Whenever you brush, it samples areas around where you brushed and then it's going to fill in into the portion with the areas around where you brush. That's generally how it works. I don't know if what I said makes sense, but then I hope it does. And I hope you understand what I mean as well. Well, let's proceed. So you're just going to continue brushing until you remove all the pimples and stuff on your face. Yeah, let me zoom out and see. If you want to zoom out, just press and hold the Alt key and then use the scroll button on the mouse to zoom out. That is how I zoom out. If you want to zoom in as well, you're just going to use the same thing. Just scroll down or up to zoom in or out of your image. So I'm going to come to a hand and then inspect this as well. Let me just go ahead and then remove this from my hand. So I normally love to do this before I attempt doing anything else because it's helps me save time. Because when I create the frequency separation adjustment layers, I'm going to separate the texture from the color on different layers. So if I'm to do this after I create my frequency separation adjustment layer, I'm going to do it on both the textures and then on the color layer as well, which is going to give me double work. It's going to give me double work, which won't be like, it won't help for time. Yeah. So I'm just going to move to a feet as well and then just try and then clean it up more. So now let me move to the other feet. Just circle and drag to a much cleaner area. Like that. Let me zoom out. So I'm not going to inspect the background. Let's go to the background now. As you can see, you have this light streak over here. It's going to drag it to a much cleaner area. Like that. Zoom out. Let me check the background to see if there are any stuff as well that I would love to remove. So let me just go ahead and remove this stuff. Yeah, when I clean, just take your time when you're doing this. Gonna come to the background on the feet. Another advice I love to give people is whenever you are taking your photos, always make sure the background is perfect or the sets that you're shooting on is perfect, because it helps you save a lot of time when you're editing. Yeah, when there's so much pressure on you, There are certain things that you're going to miss out. And if you want your works to always look good, I'd advise that you always make sure your set is looking perfect before you start anything, before you shoot. Yeah, that's for shooting. All right, so Control 0 to fit to screen. Now we're done with the cleanups. We're going to proceed to creating our own figure and separation adjustment layers. So Control J, then we're going to come here, double click on the name, and then just change this to color. That is the lower one, the lower layer, to color, and then change the first layer to texture. I don't know if I mentioned, but then after you finish doing your cleanup, you're going to duplicate the background layer by pressing Ctrl J, and you're going to rename them to color and then texture. Right, so we're going to create our color layer over here. This is what we're going to use to do the skin smoothing. All right, so I'm going to come to filter, blur, Gaussian blur, and we're going to set this to 4. We're going to leave it at 4 and select OK, like that. And we're going to select the texture layer, make it visible. And we're going to come to image, applied image. We're going to change this to color, the layer to color. The channel, you're going to leave it at RGB. You're going to change or keep the blending at subtract, and then scale at 2, and then offset at 128. And you're going to select OK. Like that. As you can see, you're having this ghost effect on your image. Don't worry, we're going to change that very soon. So you're going to come to normal, the blend mode, and then change this to linear light. Like that. As you can see, our image is back to how it was before. So if you love this action, just check out the link in the description box below. I have it in my digital store, so you can have it and then just use it for your project. So let's proceed. So we're going to select the texture layer and then press and hold the control key, and then select this, then put this in a group, Control and then G to put both layers in a group. So as you can see, we have them over here. So now let's rename the group to FS like this, and then select OK. So now we're going to select the color layer. We're going to start doing our skin smoothing on the color layer. So we're going to select our mixer brush tool like this. And this is the settings that we're going to use for this. So the wet is at 40, the load is at 16, the mix is at 31, and the flow at 48. And then this one at 10%. And then make sure this is selected. This is set to custom. And then this is deselected. And this is set to clean brush. Please make sure these settings are done before you start anything else you're not going to get the effects that you want. Yes. Thank you very much for understanding. Right now, let's proceed. So with the texture, with the color layer selected, and then with the mixer brush tool selected, we're just going to go ahead and then start smoothing the skin of our model over here. So let's just go ahead and then just brush like that. Let's zoom in a little bit more. Then just brush like that. We're just gonna go ahead and then keep brushing. Always make sure to brush within the tones, as I always say. Make sure you're brushing within the tones of the parts that you're editing. If it's in the highlights, make sure you're brushing within the highlights, just like I'm doing over here, as you can see. And you're just gonna blend in the transitions. Yeah. You make sure you brush within the tones, but then you're just gonna blend the transitions, as in if the highlight is blending or is transitioning into the midtones, you're just gonna blend those in. Yeah, but then don't mix the main parts together. You're gonna get a different effect. All right, so let's go ahead and then just keep brushing, keep smoothing the skin like that. Let's go ahead, do this nicely. Alright, so this side takes quite some time, so I'm just gonna speed this side up. Okay, if you have any struggles or anything you would like me to know or like to inform me about, you can just drop it in the comment section. Always make sure that the color layer is selected, please. Make sure the color layer is selected and nothing more, but the color layer is selected, not the texture layer. Alright, now let's zoom out. Let's check the before and after. Zoom out, this is the before. This is the after, this is the before, and this is the after. As you can see, our image is looking nice. Let's move to the hair and then just make this nice as well. Right, so let me try and then smoothing the outfits a little bit more. There's some wrinkles inside that I don't like. I'm still doing this on the color layer, so mind you. Now, as you can see here, outfits is a striped outfit, so I'm still maintaining the stripes. I'm not doing it horizontally, I'm doing it vertically. I'm just following the lines. Alright, so now let's go ahead and then remove some textures on the face once more. So I'm going to select the the spots healing brush tool. And then I'm just going to decrease the brush size, and then just brush. Make sure the texture layer is selected. And once again, you remove anything unwanted from it. So this is different from what we did earlier on. Yeah, with this, we are working only on the texture layer. If we had not done that, we'll be doing this and then we'll do the same thing again on the color layer, which is more time spending on it on one thing. Yeah, so doing it earlier on will just take some time of you doing double work. Yeah. All right, let's zoom out. Yeah, let's scroll to the top, and then as you can see, the skin is looking smooth. The textures are there. Everything is looking nice. So we're gonna go ahead and then whiten the teeth. I have this in an action form, so I'm just gonna press teeth and eye whitening, and then it's gonna play this action for us. So select the layer mask over here, and then select the brush tool. Make sure you set the foreground color to white, not black. We're gonna decrease the size and then just zoom in once more. And decrease the size like this, and then press X to change the foreground color to white. You're just gonna go ahead and then just brush onto the whites in her eyes to whiten it up. It's gonna come to her teeth now. Just brush this like that. Let me zoom out. Zoom in once more. Zoom out. Open this up and then add curves adjustment layer, and then just create a point over here and then just increase it to add more. Just click and hold and drag it up to add more light to our image. Sorry, to brighten the teeth up. So this is a before. This is a before, and then this is the after. Control 0 to fit to screen. Now, I think we didn't do clean the background when we started. So we're gonna just go to color layer and then mixer brush 2, and then we're just gonna go ahead and then clean the background a little bit more before we add our backdrop to it, before we add our design to the background, because the foot side is going to be visible. You're not going to cover it with anything. So we have to make sure we make sure everything is nice at that side before. So Control 0 to fit to screen once more. I'm just going to create a selection around our subject. So I'm going to select the subject, come to select, and then click on subject. So we're just going to wait for it to create the selection for us. All right. Once that is done, we're going to load, we're going to zoom into our image and then make sure the important parts are selected. And we're going to do adjustments that we are supposed to do. So I'm going to use the lasso tool to do this adjustment. As you can see, it left out the arm over here, the elbow. So I'm going to add this selection to it by pressing Shift and then just circling or selecting the parts that I want to circle. So you press and hold the Shift key to bring the plus selection, and then you just gonna add the selection to it. Let's come to the side as well. So with the Shift selected, you're just gonna draw across the parts that you want to select or include in a selection, and it's gonna create the selection for you. As you can see here, watch also. We're gonna press and hold the Shift key, still with the lasso key, with the lasso tool selected. Press and hold the Shift. You're just gonna draw around the parts you want to include, and voila, there you have it. So we're gonna come here and then create a new adjustment layer. It could be any adjustment layer, but I normally love to use the curves adjustment layer. So we created the curves. So we have this layer mask over here. I'm just gonna press and hold Control I to invert this, and then I'm gonna select the background I want to use for this image. So let me see. This is cool. This is cool. This is also not bad. Well, let me use this one. I like this background so much. So I'm gonna select it, drag, and then drop it onto our image like that. And just drag this up. So we scale it like that. And then select OK. I'm gonna come here and then change this to multiply. I'm gonna select our the layer mask that we created over here. Press and hold Alt and then drag this and then drop it onto our background layer like that. So now it has made a cutout of the background layer for us. So I'm going to select the brush tool. The layer mask still selected. I'm going to increase the brush size. Then I'm going to press X to switch between the foreground and the background color. Since I'm going to hide it, I'm going to keep it at black. And I'm just going to paint over her feet like that to remove the effect from her feet. I'm going to zoom out to check how the image is looking. I think this is nice, but it's looking kind of artificial to me. So I'm going to just select this again, Control T, and then just drag it up. Yeah, I want to create some distance between her and then the background. So I'm going to move it to the side like this. And that's okay. I'm going to select OK. Then I'm going to redo this again. I'm going to press and hold Alt and drag this to the top like this. Select OK. Select the layer mask. Select the brush tool and then keep the foreground color at black. If it's on white, you're just going to press on the X to shift it to black. Then on the layer mask, I'm just going to paint like this to remove this effect from her feet. As you can see. Yeah, I think this is better. I'm going to zoom out in. I think this effect is okay for me. I'm going to give it. So I'm just going to decrease the opacity over here. Let me change the blend mode to normal too. Let me see how it's looking. Normal too isn't bad. Let me just keep it at multiply. Yeah. So I think this is okay for me. Let me zoom in and see how it's looking. All right. So we're gonna move to color grading now. So, so in my previous video, I showed you how to import an old color layer from an old document, a previous document to your current document. So I'm gonna select our previous documents. This is it, and this is our color grading adjustment layer. So you're just gonna select it and then just drag and then just drop it onto our image like that, and then we have our image color graded automatically for us. Somebody asked in the group to on how to um use the same color grading for different images. That is basically how you do it. Yeah, in Photoshop. I'm just gonna open a previous document and then just drag that color grading layer to the new one. That's basically it. So I'm just gonna add a little bit of light to our image to make it pop a little bit more. Let me just zoom out. Yeah, I think the effect is looking nice. So you're gonna keep this. You're gonna keep this. Right. So this is how image is looking. You can check out other videos on this channel. There are other videos hovering around the screen. The screen that you can check out is almost the same thing. So thanks for watching today and see you guys in the next one. Bye bye for now.